In a major news development, there has been a failed attempt to assassinate Russian President Vladimir Putin, or so claims Russia. Moscow says it shot 2 drones down that were on its way to kill the Russian president. Since the failed alleged attempt to assassinate Putin, the city of Moscow has now banned drone flights in the area. Earlier this week, another report was filed by a media house that stated that Ukrainian Secret Service attempted to assassinate Putin with a drone, but the attack failed when the drone crashed before reaching its target. The Ukrainian forces reportedly launched the UJ-22 drone laden with 17 kilograms of C4 plastic explosives. The drone flew from Ukraine with the aim of reaching a newly built industrial estate near Moscow, which Putin was due to visit. Surprisingly, it managed to cross the border without being detected by Russia's air defense system. But before the deadly drone could reach the Rudnevo industrial park on its alleged mission to take out the Russian leader, it crashed mere kilometers away from the site. This, according to a tweet by Ukrainian activist Yuri Romanenko, who claimed to have close ties to Kyiv's intelligence services, which was picked up by the media as well. He alleges that Ukrainian Secret Service agents received information about Putin's apparent trip to the industrial site. After that, they decided to launch the deadly drone in an attempt to assassinate the Russian president. Okay, well, let's head on to Russia. For more on this, we are joined by Fred Ware from the Russian capital, Moscow. Fred is a journalist and political commentator. Fred, welcome to WION. Wow, what a story. This alleged assassination attempt on the life of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Russia says that Ukraine was responsible. Can you tell us what the latest is from Moscow? And in your opinion, how could it respond after these accusations towards Ukraine?
Well, you summarized it pretty well. 2 drones apparently flew all the way to Moscow and arrived right near the Kremlin, which is the political heart of Moscow. And we've seen the video of one of them hitting the dome of the presidential palace, which is underneath which is Putin's office. It didn't seem to be a big explosion. It seemed to be just the thing hit. And so the Kremlin does claim that air defenses and perhaps electronic countermeasures worked to disable the thing. But still, it's pretty breathtaking attack. And as I say, it hit one of Putin's offices. So, and it is, I think, mainly a psychological operation on the part of the Ukrainians. It's clearly the Ukrainians who did it, and the Russians would not voluntarily give themselves a black eye like that. I think you can rely on that. So, and it's probably intended to strike fear, to disrupt the May 9th holiday, which is coming up. It's Victory Day. There's meant to be a big military parade on Red Square, which is just adjacent to where that drone hit. So I think that's it. It's the Ukrainians trying to bring the war home to Russians and perhaps to Putin personally. What Russians can do in response.
You talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay. That I don't know, because the war is going at full crank right now. The only thing I can think of that they might do in retaliation is try to attack Zelensky personally. That would be extremely unwise, because like this, I don't think it will have, this attack on the Kremlin, I don't think will have the effect of frightening Russians or Putin. And an attack on Zelensky would likewise just draw people closer around him and heighten the amount of sympathy that he gets around the world.
Do you think that this was a major security breach, considering the fact that the two drones flew undetected deep inside Russian territory? I mean, how did they get that far?
Yeah, well, it's happened before, and it just is the case that the sky is big, very big. You know, you're located in the United States, and didn't you have all these balloons flying over your heads recently, and nobody saw them until so. The sky is just full of objects, and I think that's why the Moscow authorities banned the use of civilian drones to clear the airspace around Moscow for air defense radars to work better. But yes, it's a security breach. The Russians can't be happy with it, and they'll probably be tightening the screws in the next few days, especially in the days leading up to the Victory Day parade.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point about that parade and instilling fear. But how does Russia respond to Ukraine saying that it wasn't us, we had nothing to do with this drone attack, and look somewhere else, we had nothing to do with it? How do you think Russia could respond to something like this?
I don't think that's credible, or that anybody believes it. The Ukrainians routinely say that, don't they? When they strike inside of Russia, they throw up their hands and say, we don't know who did this. I think that's mainly for Western consumption, because it's people in the West who are nervous about Ukraine striking on Russian territory. And the Americans, I think, repeatedly say that and deny long-range missiles and such to Ukraine to prevent them from doing that. So I think it's mainly they're facing West and saying we didn't do it, or we don't know who did it. So something coy. They don't say they don't deny they did it, and I think we can pretty much assume that they definitely did.
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly, you said what I was thinking. The United States is now going to definitely think twice, and NATO allies as well, when Ukraine is asking for those fighter jets, although, none have been provided. But this was one of America and its allies' main concern, that Ukraine would ultimately target inside of Russia. But then you have all this new technology with the drones and everything. Fred Weir, thank you so much for joining us and helping us make some sense of this extraordinary story, is the best way I can describe it. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you.